When it comes to rebuilding Miami back to glory, Mario Cristobal is trying to do what Butch Davis did in the 90s. Let's talk to someone who was a big part of that rebuild.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, also co-host of Locked On ACC. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making this episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On this episode, we will have the breaking news from this morning. Details have been revealed about the game time and ticket information for that season opener, Miami Hurricanes at the Florida Gators, August 31st. We're going to talk about what it was like on that practice field in the late 90s and if Mario Cristobal can have that same sort of rebuilding success as Butch Davis. Before we introduce one of our special guests today, let's bring on the truth teller. It is a Truth Teller Tuesday, Bruce Warner. I hope you're doing well. How are you?
I'm feeling better, thank you. Yesterday was rough, but today's better. But, in the last few weeks, there's been a lot of talk. We talked a lot about DBs. And then there was a lot of conversation about Devin Hester getting into the Hall of Fame and being the greatest kick and punt returner in the history, not only of Miami, but of the NFL. And so there was questions about who is the best defensive special teams player. And there's not even a doubt. So I make a call. I call this guy up and I said, hey, this is Bruce Warner. I want you to come on the show with Alex and me. I said, you remember me? We did the show with Lamar. He says, of course I know who you are. You're the truth teller. I said, holy crap, how do you know that? So then he said, you can put him on now. He says, because I watched and listened to the show every day. How are you feeling? I heard you were sick. And I'm thinking, well, this is awesome. It's Tremain Mack, man. And here's the definition of special teams extraordinaire. T-Mac, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate the invite and great introduction. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, we appreciate you supporting the show, T-Mac. Yeah, I know. And right after Bruce talked to you, he called me. He was blown away by that. And we're going to talk, folks, all about Tremain Mack's career. And I know, T-Mac, obviously, if you're an everydayer here of Locked On Canes, I know you're paying attention with what's going on with the program right now, even though, you're out west doing your thing, coaching in the Seattle area. But what's your take on this current transitional phase in Miami football and the job Mario Cristobal is doing right now, trying to rebuild this program?
Well, I think personally it reminds me of the time when we went from, and I was fortunate enough to be coached by Dennis Erickson and Butch Davis. And I saw the transition from us, playing for national championships to a little dip to when Butch came in and bringing that competition level back and the sheer accountability factor and holding people accountable and making sure that every day on that Green Tree practice field we were getting after it. And I think that Mario is, for me, drawing some of those same comparisons because I see a lot of us, and I haven't been able to, I'm out here in Seattle, but I see a lot of my teammates coming back and everybody's being a part of the program. And when I was there, it was like that. I mean, I got the chance to see all the players who played in the past. They were always on the sidelines. They was always a part of the program. It was just a big family. And when I'm coaching now and the teams that I coach, I bring that atmosphere to my team. So essentially, every team that I've coached is really having a little glimpse into the University of Miami program that I've been a part of.
Yeah, and Butch was notorious as a great recruiter, Mario, and somebody who could get these guys to play harder and to practice harder like you guys did. He's doing that. I think the big question is, and Butch was not really considered a great game day coach. And I think that's somewhat of a label that's still sitting there with Mario. But I know one thing, if he's anything like Butch, he's not going to give up. He's just going to keep going forward. And he's changing the attitudes of the players that are here now. And that's what we need. The attitude has been horrible for 20 years. What do you think, T-Mac?
I think exactly. And the one thing that may go unnoticed sometimes, and I see some of Mario's interviews and things like that, and I also got an opportunity to see the tail end of Mario actually the beginning of Mario when he was a GA and I was coming in, so I got an opportunity to see him a little bit as well. But Butch was he was that coach that really pushed you, but behind the scenes, especially with me personally, he was always someone I could go to, always someone that no matter what, I was going to get the answer, not the one that I wanted, but the one that I needed to hear. And push me towards where I needed to get. And no matter what, and you're right, never giving up and never give it up on you. Butch and I still talk to this day, and it's been a great relationship, and I appreciate him. And that's something I think Mario is doing with his players now, and I think it's going to pay big dividends.
Did you decide on your own that you were going to be a punt and kick blocker specialist, or did Butch push you into that, or your coaching staff push you into? How did that come about?
No, that was something that I always felt was important, and I had an opportunity to be coached by Chuck Pagano, who was our special teams coach, who was also my defensive backs coach, who instilled that pride in special teams for us, and it was important. And the big thing was that trust factor that you had in your players to get the job done. And we all played on special teams, but it was just a really important part for me. And I knew that, especially early on in my career, it was a place that I could make an impact on the team. And I know, and I teach my kids to this day, that games are won and lost on special teams. And each year we have a kid that kind of sends chills down my spine because I never talk about it with them. But I have a kid that, blocks 4, 5, 6 kicks every year, because that's what I'm talking about, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm actually getting out there showing them in practice how to do it. And it's one of those things that is important, because at the end of the day, there's 3 phases in the game, and you can win 2 of those 3, you got a pretty good chance to win. And special teams always is a deciding factor, and with that hidden yardage and things like that. And so I think that special teams is really a matter of effort and want to, and not being denied. You're going out full speed and finding that guy on the other side of the ball that takes a play off. I'm looking for him every time I'm out there.
Yeah, so
we got a lot.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say we got a lot still to talk about with Tremain Mack, including what those practices were like in the 90s. And I'll tell you when we come back, a player on Miami's roster now who I hope can be T-Mac 2.0. The truth teller is with us. Former Miami great Tremain Mack is with us. T-Mac, you guys want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. We talk so much about recruiting on Locked On Canes. And if you're a small business owner, recruiting from a different perspective. And I hope you guys are all over LinkedIn Jobs, because when you're hiring for that small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Over 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring, by the way. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you so much for making this Truth Teller Tuesday episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. Alex Donno alongside the Truth Teller, Bruce Warner. We got Tremain Mack with us, former great Miami Hurricane safety and special teams ace, NFL safety as well with the Bengals. And, Tremain, there's a young player now at Miami who seems to have a similar enthusiasm towards special teams that you do, and that's incoming freshman safety Zaquan Patterson, who had a good spring. he was blocking some kicks and making some plays at Chaminade Madonna, playing safety. And I had a chance to speak with Zaquan a few weeks ago, and he seems very excited to play special teams. So I maybe I can connect the two of you guys, because I want him to become the Tremain Mack of this generation.
That'd be great. I'd love to speak with him. It'd be great to see that, and I'm looking forward to seeing not just one player, because it wasn't just me. That was the thing. It wasn't me by myself. I might have blocked some kicks. I might have returned some kicks. I might have made some tackles on special teams, but it was everybody. We were my teammates trusted in me. I trusted in them. We worked hard, and at the end of the day, ended up making a difference in the game. So I would love to speak with him, and hopefully, everybody that's there, he can rally up the troops, and everybody take a mindset on special teams like that, and that'll change games, change opportunities in games, and turn games around at the end of the day, making us have an opportunity to win these games. That the close games I saw last year, that was, I saw some opportunities, and it was frustrating. Yet, for me, I bleed orange and green, so I'm all the way, and throwing stuff at the TV, and I'm upset.
You too.
But I'm looking forward to this year and the years coming forward, because I see things happening that I used to see in the past, and it brings me a lot of joy to see them happen.
But it's a lost art, T-Mac. It is, especially for us. So I know you had mentioned before, you said something about finding weak links. You must have watched a lot of film to see where you could recognize each week who might have been the weak link. Could you talk about what you did? And now, what would you do if you had the ability to talk to these kids down here and tell, like Zaquan, which I'm sure we could arrange, and anybody else that wants to hear this, because Beamer ball used to beat everybody with the stupid block punts and the field goals that they blocked, when they had Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech. But Miami, they don't do it anymore. It just seems like we have such speed. Why can't we do what you do?
Well, I think it is film study and finding those weak links. But I'll just tell you a story that may encompass all of that. Everybody remembers the West Virginia game.
Of course we do.
But that game leading up into the week, we're watching film, and I noticed on film that their snapper had what I call a hitch in his snap. So he moves his hand before he snaps the ball, lifts the ball up. And so then we flew out, of course, and pregame, they're punting and kicking, and he's snapping the ball, and they were snapping on our end. So I just walked up beside him as close as I could get, so I could verify if what I saw on film was what was going to be in person. And sure enough, he had a hitch in his snap. And then I actually got to get a couple get-offs on that hitch in pregame. And so in my mind, I'd already timed it up. There are a couple times in the game, and I knew as it was coming along, I was going to get close. I was going to get there. And, we had that timeout before we went to block that kick at the end there. And, I wanted to go from the right side, and Chuck Pagano says, no, we're going from the left. And I said, you sure, Coach? He said, yeah. I said, all right, Coach. And we went from the left side, and I said, I got you. And we blocked that kick, and everything else is history. And that was all because of film study and want to. It had nothing to do with my ability. It just was want to, and taking that advantage of film study and seeing different things on film. I still do that to this day. I'm watching the games, and I can't watch film in advance, but I've watched the first half of the game. So I'm watching the second half, and I'm thinking, okay, this, that, and another, we should be doing this. And I'm thinking, hey, we should go after this one, because this guy right here is not, it's just all in my head all the time. So it's one of the things that I think if we could go out and have a guy like Patterson go out and infuse his mindset into everybody else and do it with smartness, with film study, that we will be successful in the special teams games.
But even the threat of him getting through, or the threat of you getting through, caused shank punts, punts that just shouldn't have been where they were. Guys got nervous and they hurried it up, and it may have gotten blocked by some whatever. But the threat and the knowledge that you're there and you're coming is sometimes just as good as blocking it in a way. And we don't have that. We're just not even remotely close. And a couple of times when we do get close, roughing the kicker, roughing the punter.
Yeah.
We just don't seem to be able to just do what we're supposed to do and get the heck out of there. But it's a jinx, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I think there's an art to it with the way you block it and the rules within the game. And, I learned that trial and error along the way, but effort got me there. It was just effort on special teams. It really was. I wouldn't have the opportunity if it wasn't for the effort to get there. And the opportunity was made greater by studying film and having coaches like Chuck Pagano push me to get there. He had a great impact on my life and still does.
We're joined here by former Miami Hurricanes great Tremain Mack. Something I know Mario Cristobal is trying to get back to because he lived it. You talked about starting his career as a GA while you were there. Of course, he played at Miami late 80s into the early 90s, won national championship. So he knows, as you do, what it used to be like out at Green Tree, what the competition levels were like. And it's never going to be quite the same just because of the rules that they have restricting contact and all that. But he wants to bring that intensity back. Tremain, what was that like? What was a day in the life at Green Tree like back in your day in the 90s?
Well, one word, hot. But outside of that, the competition, it was just, I've never been in an environment that was so competitive before. And I know a lot of us old heads, as we probably call them, say some of the same things, but it's fact. I've never been in a competitive environment that stringent, and we always worked so hard, and we had fun while we were doing it, which was a great thing. And I think that for us, or for me personally, practices were harder than the games. Games, we were looking forward to games. That was the easy part. We were going to go and destroy somebody because practice, there's no way we could be playing somebody better than the guys we were working against in practice. And so that made a difference for us. And one of the other things too, I believe personally, in my story, is the guys that came back. During the summers, I got an opportunity to cover Michael Irvin and things like that, and ask him questions while he was in the NFL. And I was still in college. And so that whole connection and the effort we made during the summers and the competitive nature when they came back, it was the same. It was just like practice during the season when we were doing our one-on-ones and things like that. So it provided me with a complete competitive environment. So and it translated. Not only is it something that happened during football, nowadays it's in my coaches. My coaching, I'm competitive. In my work life, I'm competitive. I'm competitive in all facets of my life because of that training that I had and that opportunity and that experience in being in a competitive environment that I crave it. I start to crave it and you want it. And if it's not competitive, you don't want to be a part of it. And so I think that was the difference for us back then. And I hope that they get back to that today.
Yeah, it's got to be difficult because the culture of everything, including this entire world, is not the same. These kids come into their juniors in high school already. They got stars and they're ranked, and they have these press conferences to announce where they're going, and they're taking their talents, which is just exactly what LeBron James said. And it's just these guys are, sometimes they say, taking my talents to Miami for the next 3 or 4 years. I mean, they're already halfway out the door when they make the announcement. That's how far ahead they're thinking. And I don't know if the effort is the same. Things are different. And I don't know whether you could be yelling and screaming at all these guys. Look, I mean, Jimmy, I know Jimmy, and not Dennis. Dennis wasn't much of a screamer, but Butch. And these kids are now saying, screw you, I'm transferring out of here. It's just easy to just turn on the switch and say, goodbye, I'm leaving. You don't want to take your attitude and make it tougher and work at it. I'm out of here. And how many guys did we lose, Alex? This portal. Dozen?
Oh, yeah, more than it. I know 14 came in. I think more than that went out.
Right. And one of them was the safety, T-Mac, Savion Riley, who just got here and he's out already. He didn't even play.
Yeah, that's a tough dynamic for me. I'm one that's loyal, and the transfer portal, albeit great for adding depth and talent. I'm impartial about it just because the building the development I had the opportunity to be a part of, and the team that I had the opportunity to grow with. I think that's missing. People are just jumping ship, going to the next station that they feel like they're going to be lucrative at. When I'm a proponent of making the grass green where I'm at. So that's just me, and I think that is becoming a lost art in college football now.
Well, couldn't agree more. See, he's exactly right. It's just like everything's about me, I. There's no team anymore. I mean, I know you guys, and I know guys from back before that. Guys like my friend Caesar and whatever. They used to fight and beat the crap out of each other on the field and stuff. But you know what? Once they walked out of there, they were all tight. They were tight. They got on a plane. They were tight. Pre-game warm-ups, they were tight. It's not the same anymore. It's just not the same. And it's if it doesn't get it, and I don't know if Mario is going to embellish and embrace inner fighting. I don't think he wants that. He just wants a tough as nails attitude. Do your job. Go kick some ass and come home. That's what he wants. He really doesn't want all this outer noise. He's not about noise. He's just not. And you guys weren't about noise. You had some great players on your team. Who was in your secondary? Was Dwayne Starks in your secondary?
Dwayne Starks,
yeah.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, we had some great guys back there, and we actually competed with each other all the time within the secondary. And like I said, Chuck Pagano pushed us and to become better people within ourselves, so that we can be better people for the team.
Okay.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit when we come back about rivalries and some of T-Mac's favorite games. He already talked about one of those in West Virginia, and that sensational block, because I do have details on the other side about kickoff time and ticket information for Miami at Florida to open up the season. So, my friends, you want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Thank you so much for making this episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. Hey, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. We are joined here not only by the truth teller, Bruce Warner, but by T-Mac, Tremain Mack, former Miami Hurricanes safety and special teams ace. So, fellas, we've already known for quite some time Miami is opening up their season August 31st in Gainesville. Miami announced in a press release this morning that opener, Saturday, August 31st, is going to be a 3:30 p.m. kickoff on ABC. So nationally televised, mid-afternoon game there in the Swamp. And for those wondering about tickets, tickets for all away games, this according to Miami's press release, will be open to Hurricane Club members and season ticket holders from May 20th to June 21st. Requests will be allocated in donor priority at the conclusion of the request period. So May 20th is when you can start to look for those tickets in Gainesville. T-Mac, I'm hoping that, Miami versus Florida, even before you played, it was back in the 80s, that used to still be a regular thing. Now it's like a semi-regular thing, but anytime I can watch Miami go up against the Gator, which last happened on 2019, I'm sure you probably have some connections with the University of Florida. You'll do a little trash talking before then.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that one. It's going to be a great day.
Yeah, and what did like the rivalry with Florida State and with the Big East opponents, when you played in the 90s, what did those matchups mean to you to be able to go up against a team every single season, especially a Florida State, and to have that hate week and that rivalry and everything that came with that?
Yeah, the Florida State week was one that was, when I first got there, I always saw it on TV. That's what attracted me to Miami. Just everything I saw on TV, all the guys, the camaraderie and the excitement of the game. I watched it every Saturday I could. And when I got there going to the Florida State game, back then we had a lot of Texas players on the team and mostly Florida players on the team. And, I learned a lot from the Florida players about just that rivalry and what it meant. And, I thought initially, like, we just hated them, and we kind of do. But also I learned that, hey, they know a lot of people on their team. So it's always one of those things where, hey, we're going at them. And that rivalry was just big for me. Still has a bitter taste in my mouth a little bit because I long snapped. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I snapped the ball over the head of the punter in one of those games, and it was just one of those things that I still haven't lived down myself. But the importance of those games and things like that, and playing those rivalry teams every year, set the tone for the season. And also, I remember when I was playing, it used to be first week of October usually. And it was something that was the week we looked forward to, and that was the pivotal point in the season. That was the turn. And so it was great. And rivalries like that are important for the team.
Yeah, Tremain and Alex, there's been a lot of talk, and Alex and I have been talking about it. If you watched the show, about everybody's making the assumption that our secondary is the weakest part of our defense. Now, let's assume that's true, and it may very well be true. How does what the front seven does affect how successful our secondary is going to be this year? Because listen, I when I was around back in the day before you, when it was Jerome and it was Russell and Cortez and all those guys, we all knew they were going to kill the quarterback. The linebackers were incredible. Our DBs, they're my friends, Rowland and Herbert James, those guys, but they weren't stars, but yet they were great because the front seven. So talk about the importance of Miami's front seven this year, helping out our secondary, who's relatively young.
Yeah, I think it's important. If you only have to cover a couple seconds, then you're going to be a great DB. And we had that when we were playing. We had Sapp and all those guys, Pat Riley, and we didn't blitz a whole lot. The front four got pressure, and we didn't have to cover very long. And Carlos Jones getting interceptions and things like that. And not to say Carlos wasn't a great corner, because he was, but it makes it a whole lot easier to cover and be effective when you don't have to cover very long and you know the ball is going to be coming out quick. It's going to have to come out quick. Otherwise, the quarterback's going to be on the ground. It makes a complete difference when the front seven is controlling the box. The back end takes a lot of pressure off the back end.
Okay. And especially if they could stop the run. Then you're putting them in down in distances that you want them to be and not the other way around.
Yeah, you're dictating what's happening instead of being dictated to. And that makes a big difference. And that's one of the concerns that I've had over the last couple of years just watching. It's like, they're doing what they want to do. Everything they want to do, they're doing that. Let's change that. And I'm hoping this year that front seven gets after them. Hoping we get one more commitment here soon. I've been watching, I've been waiting, I'm clicking on it every day and hoping.
Who, the D end?
Yes.
Yeah, Tyler Barron. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, and people, Bruce, people are asking me, I'm sure they're asking you as well every day, if there's any update on that. We're still waiting. As far as Barron goes, it seems like Ole Miss is not really in it anymore, and it looks like it's Miami or USC. So I don't know exactly when he's going to make the decision, but it seems to be Miami or the Trojans.
Yeah, or when his father's going to make the decision, from what I'm hearing.
Okay.
His father's got those hands out like, come on, let's go.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. And T-Mac, I loved what you were saying earlier about about the sort of messages and the wisdom you like to impart on your players that you coach. Tell us a little bit. We mentioned Seattle area. Tell us a little bit about where you coach and tell us about your team.
Well, coach at Mount Rainier High School. I'm a baseball and one of the assistant basketball coach there. Was a football coach there. I'm transitioning to Thomas Jefferson High School now, so different high school. So I'm trying to rebuild their program now. I was able to help rebuild Mount Rainier's program over the last several years, and it's been great. And I've been part of a great community that invests in their kids, and I've been able to mentor and help a lot of kids. It's funny. Last weekend, I was able to go out to Washington State and watch one of my kids graduate, who I've really helped along the way. And he invited me to his graduation from college. And I'm actually going to be trying to bring him on to help me over at Thomas Jefferson. He was my quarterback, so I'm going to try to have him help me out a little bit. So it's been a real great treat for me to be able to give back. And the biggest thing, I think, for me, and as Mother's Day was yesterday, my mom passed away in 2011, a while ago. But on her dying bed, I made her a couple of promises. And, one was I was going to take care of her two little girls, my two sisters. And the other one was that I was going to give back everything that was given to me. And what was given to me was coaches that helped me out when I didn't have a father around. And coaches like Butch Davis and Chuck Pagano, Dennis Erickson, all those guys that helped me out along the way, that kept my feet or my head above water and my feet on the ground, and made it possible for me to be who I am today. So that promise I made her was I was going to give back everything. And so for me, that's why I do it. And for me to have an impact on these kids' lives and know that I'm helping change and shape their futures has been great for me.
That's
well,
wonderful.
Here's a guy who deserves whatever accolades he's getting from people that have helped him, from people that he's helped, from the Miami fans. He's just a good person. You could just sense that he cares about people, and that's to be commended. T-Mac, I'm glad that you're my friend. Thanks for coming on the show with us. Alex, any finishing final comments?
Just a huge thank you. That's a wonderful message, and that's motivational to hear you made those promises to your mom and that you work every day to keep them. So God bless you, T-Mac, and thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you, guys, and you guys do a great job. I watch every day, and I look forward to it every day.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. It's hard to stay in the loop out here sometimes, and you guys help me still be a part of the program and feel like I feel like I'm in the locker room half the time when I'm watching the show. So I appreciate you.
That's great. We really appreciate it. And we had a lot of coaches. We've had Solinger on. We've had a lot of people. We have way more people to get on the show. So anyway, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it, T-Mac. Go back to sleep.
I'm going to go to work and help these kids out.
Yeah, he's out in Seattle. Thank everyone so much for taking the time to make Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We will talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.